Hey everybody in the VC and elsewhere on YouTube, it's Matt again, second video of the day, which I haven't made a video. It's been several months, I've just been busy, but just posted a contest entry video here that went up a few minutes ago. Check that out if you're so inclined. Had fun doing it. This is just a couple of music book pickups that I wanted to share. A couple of books that I got recently. One of them is a new book, and the other is a book that I've been wanting for decades and finally got my hands on. So we'll start with the new book, which I was hesitant to buy. I actually put it on my Amazon wish list, and it sat there for 2 or 3 months before I finally pulled the trigger and bought it. The wish list, there's like 200 things on there. Occasionally I'll go on there and buy something off of there, but it just keeps growing and growing. The reason I was hesitant to buy it is because of this book, Hard Day's Right. This is a book that someone gave me Christmas 2 or 3 years ago, and it's the Beatles, the stories behind every song. This is a nice little book, and got some nice pictures in it, and it does in fact list every Beatles song and a few paragraphs about each one. Problem was, and I'm very touched to get it as a gift, but I only read through, I haven't even finished this. And like I said, I got this, I want to say 2019 Christmas, I believe it was. And I read about a fourth of the book and set it on the bookshelf and forgot about it, just because if you're new to the Beatles, I guess this would be a nice book introduction for some information. But if you're a Beatle fanatic like I am, or even if you're, just a mid-level Beatles fan, not much in here that you're not going to learn much that you didn't already know from reading this book. A lot of this is the same old stories that you've heard a million times about the different songs and all. Nice glossy pages. There are some good pictures in here, but not an essential Beatle book by any stretch of the means. Well, the Beatles have every song, and pretty much every band does. There's Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and Queen, any band you can think of. So they had one of these books, the Rolling Stones, all the songs, the story behind every track. A different author between the Beatle book and the Rolling Stones book. But like I said, I saw the Rolling Stones book somewhere, maybe when I was just looking around on Amazon. Thought it was interesting, put it on my wish list. I was thinking it's probably going to be about this size, and it's probably going to be just, no real new information or anything. But I finally went ahead and bought it, and this thing goes all the way up to Living in a Ghost World, the single they put out during COVID a couple of years ago. So it's from the very beginning. Anyway, package came to work here a week or so ago. Big package. I'm wondering what could it be. Beatles book there. This dictionary. So this is quite a different affair than the Beatles book, and this is just, I mean, this is everything right up to their latest single, and from the very beginning, and it's 760 pages long. Great pictures. Great. Besides just all the songs, there's a lot of other text in here, the beginning of the band and so forth. And I've been reading some other books, so I've flipped through this, but I haven't started reading it yet. Haven't tackled it, which I'm looking forward to. And this looks like this is really going to be good. And starts with their first single, Come On, and from June 7th of 1963, and all the way up to their latest single, all the albums in between, and there's guitar, just a lot of great pictures. So this looks like, I don't know, I mean, I know a lot about the Stones, but I'm thinking there might be some new information in here that I haven't heard about these songs, some stories behind some of the songs, and really looking forward to tackling into that. Right now I'm stuck in the middle of really good book about a expedition to the North Pole back in 1886, and fascinating stuff, and nothing to do with music. But when I finish that, I think I'm going to tackle this Rolling Stone dictionary. And so that was really a nice surprise, because like I said, I thought it was going to be something like this and just not really much to it, which is why I put off picking it up. But I'm glad I finally did. The other thing is a Rolling Stones book too, and everybody on here that's like my age range, Joe Mayo and all, we all talk lovingly about the Beatles, an illustrated record book from Roy Carr and Tony Tyler that came out in, I think, 1976. And they did a 78 and an 81 update of that book. I wish they would have kept updating it, but I don't know if those guys are even still around or not. But so that book came out 76, and I was in 6th grade, and I didn't have the money to buy it because I was a kid. I remember it was at the library, and I went there and checked it out several times. It didn't take me several times to read it because I can read fast, but I just kept checking it out because I kept rereading it. Finally saved up enough money to get a copy of it, and I would show it, but I was not sure where my copy is right now. And anyway, the Beatles, an illustrated record, and the book was like the size of an album cover. I also remember at the same time, roughly around the same time, and I don't remember if Roy Carr and Tony Tyler wrote all of these books, but I remember there was a Bob Dylan, an illustrated record. I remember flipping through that in the bookstore. At the time, I wasn't hugely into Bob Dylan. I knew like a Rolling Stone, a couple other songs, but I didn't know a whole lot of his songs and wasn't big time into him. There was another one on David Bowie, an illustrated record that I remember seeing, and same thing, I knew some of the hits that got played in America as of up to 1976, so didn't know as much Bowie music as I do now. The other one was, and I really wanted this, and I remember looking at it in the bookstore, just didn't have the money to buy it at the time, and unfortunately the library didn't have a copy of this one like they did with the Beatles one. And then I guess later it just went out of print. And this is by Roy Carr. Tony Tyler just didn't take part in this, or didn't like the Rolling Stones, or I don't know. And I sure do wish that books only cost $7 nowadays. But like I said, I remember seeing this in Walden Books and other bookstores, wanting a copy of it, and just never had the money or got around to it. And by the time I had the money, I guess it was out of print. So, and it's the same, this sort of album LP jacket size, just like the Beatles illustrated record book. But so I finally found a copy of it. It's it's not mint condition, but it's all the pages are there. Because I remember one of the Beatles books, maybe the 78 one or something, some of the pages fell out after a time. But it's the same. It's just each one of their albums and singles, British releases, and then the thoughts of Roy Carr on those albums. And a lot of great pictures, a lot of pictures of the singles and the albums and band pictures. What I really love, if you remember the old Beatles monthly magazines, and I've got a few of those, well, there was also, and I think Beatles Monthly ran from 62 to 68, if I'm not mistaken. There was also Rolling Stones Monthly, and there is, getting used to a new computer there, and I got my hand in the way, but there is every issue, because the Beatles Monthly, I think there were like 76 issues originally in the 60s. They reprinted them in the 80s and added additional issues, but the original run I think was like 72 or 76 issues. Rolling Stones book didn't last as long, and I think there's 30, I didn't count here, but I think there were 30 issues altogether. I was always interested in those because I do have some of the old Beatles monthlies, not a complete set unfortunately, but I have a few of them, and those are fun to read because you get letters from fans and you get current, the news current at the time, and it's just, they're cool to read because you get the perspective of something as it's happening versus when you're reading books and podcasts and stuff nowadays where you're the perspective of the Beatles that's already happened in retrospect type perspective. And so it'd be fun to read these with the Rolling Stones too. Never seen a actual copy of these Rolling Stone monthly magazine. I would love to get some of them. I've seen some of them for sale, but they're wanting like $30 an issue, so pretty pricey. I really wish with the Beatles monthly and with the Rolling Stones monthly that they would, whoever owns the rights to these, would put them all together in a bound book, because I mean there's 30 of these. They could make one book of that. You probably have to make 2 or 3 books for the Beatles stuff, but put them in a bound book and just publish them so that people could have access to them now and read them that didn't get a chance to get these back in the 60s. There was also, in the Beatles monthly book, there was an ad for subscriptions. There was a Dave Clark 5 monthly magazine, which I can't imagine probably didn't last very long at all, but I guess those would be cool to see too. But Beatles and the Rolling Stones would really be great. But it's nice to have all the covers of every issue there to look at, and I'm thinking this probably ran from 64 to 66, this magazine. Anyway, yeah, so this was one that I just thought of through the years, because I remember seeing it back when I was, 12 years old or whatever I was when it came out, and it was around in the bookstores for maybe a year or so. Then they couldn't really find them anymore, so I always wanted a copy, and I'm glad to finally have one. And the Beatles Illustrated Record is a great book to read from back in the 70s, of the kind of, well, I guess it'd be the second wave of Beatle books after the original 60s wave. But this can be fun. And this goes all the way up to Black and Blue, which would have been their latest record at the time. So a couple of really great Rolling Stone books to dig into. I don't have anything else to say, so that's the end of the video. Take care, everybody, and I'll be back. Try to not wait another 6 months before I do another video.